Last question on divorce. It's prenuptial agreements, a form of a contract.
Sure.
And they specify in the beginning, hey, if this doesn't work out, this is what's going to happen. So if someone doesn't have a prenuptial agreement, in Indiana, is it truly split 50-50, or again, does that depend on certain situations,
Sure.
or time? Does time play a factor into that?
As a practical matter, I would say time can play a factor. Legally speaking, time does not matter.
Okay.
Okay? The law is a funny thing. Certain things ought not to be considered, and they're not officially, but I'd be lying if I said that perhaps judges don't occasionally have it creep into their minds a little bit. A 5-month-old marriage just is probably going to be viewed a little differently than a 30-year-old marriage. It probably just is. Legally, there is no provision to treat it differently, but
Yeah.
you know,
I would agree with that. I
But,
mean, that seems like common sense.
right, exactly, you know. But so, to answer your question very directly, the law presumes that everything is part of the marital estate, okay? So everything that you had before you were married and accumulated while you were married. The law then presumes that, let me back up. The court is instructed to divide the marital estate in a fair and equitable manner. Well, what's fair and equitable, right? Well, presumably, under the law, 50-50. However, the court is allowed to deviate from that 50-50 presumption, and they consider a number of factors, okay? So, the short answer is yes, 50-50 is the default. It does not have to be 50-50, okay? One of the things a court will consider is each spouse's contribution to an asset. Contribution does not have to be financial. The very classic example is, you don't see it quite as much as one once did, but the classic example is the stay-at-home mother. You know,
Okay.
Once upon a time, you saw this very frequently, but you had, man who went out and worked and would put in frequent amounts of overtime. Woman stayed home, raised the kids, kept the home looking nice and good, and when man would come home, there was dinner, laundry was done. They each had very defined roles, right? Well, woman wasn't contributing directly financially. So what would happen when these two would get married? Did she contribute to the pension that he had accumulated? No, right? Not financially anyways, or to the equity in the home. She wasn't making the mortgage payments, right? Well, so the law says, hey, no. She's making contributions every single day. Are you kidding me? Sir, the only reason you are able to go out and work as much as you do and put in this overtime and dedicate yourself as much to your craft as you do is because the kids are able to have all of their needs met. Because you don't have, and you are able to go do this because you don't have to stay at home taking care of A, B, C, D. Your wife is doing all of these things. It frees you up to go do this. So that is a contribution. It's not financial, but it's a contribution. So that's a classic example of a non-income contribution. So the court will consider things like that.